Let's make a fun greeting card on Procreate. I'm Vinita Marman from the Pigeon Letters design team. I'm a freelance lettering artist, an illustrator, and a Skillshare top teacher. In this tutorial, we're going to make this fun and punny cactus greeting card design on Procreate. This could make a cute card for Valentine's Day or really just something to bring a smile to someone's face. This is a super beginner-friendly project. All you need to follow along with me are the Procreate app, an iPad that supports it, a stylus like the Apple Pencil, the pigeon grids, and the vintage texture Procreate kit by the Pigeon Letters. I've also made a custom Procreate color palette for you that you're welcome to download and use in this project. So let's dive right in. Now, when you download the vintage texture pack, you'll get some really cool pre-made textured canvases, and we're going to use the faded canvas today. I have mine already loaded into Procreate, so I'll open it up. Now, if you go into the Layers panel, you'll see this layer named Delete Layer. So just swipe left and tap Delete to remove that layer. Then turn on this layer that says Your Art Here. This is where we'll start drawing. And if your background layer is turned off, just turn it on. Okay? It'll be white by default, and that works for us. I want to make a card that's in portrait orientation. So I'm going to use 2 fingers and rotate this canvas. Now we need some guidelines for the layout, and we're going to take the easy way out to do this. Thanks to Peggy's wonderful pigeon grids, we don't have to draw the entire layout from scratch. So now in the brush panel, find your pigeon grids brush pack. We have so many options here, but first we'll go all the way down to the section called Frames, and you'll find the heart frame here. So just select that. I trust that you've downloaded and loaded up the favorite prick color palette that I made for you. You will notice there are 2 lonely blues here at the bottom, which will not make an appearance in the final illustration. We'll just use them for sketching. So pick one of them and just tap anywhere on the screen to place the heart. Now I want to go bigger with it. Let's try all the way up, and that's a bit too big. We'll go slightly smaller and try again. Yeah, I think that's a good size. So we'll use the selection arrow. Make sure magnetics and snapping are turned on and reposition our heart to the center of the canvas. Then we'll open a new layer. We're going to write the words, "You're my favorite prick." So I want "You're my favorite" to come here like this in an arch, and "prick" to come here in a nice curvy banner. Okay, so let's first do the banner for our prick. It's all the way up here under curves. This first one called banner. And again, just place it. Find a good size over here. This looks okay. Let's move it higher up and check. We'll try and find the center and place it somewhere here. I just want it to wrap around the bottom of the heart. Now open up another new layer. We'll pick the rainbow arc next. We can go all the way up to 100% with this one. Now the thing is, we have some changes to make on this guide to make it work for our design. While it's great to have it pre-made for us, we need only a portion of this for our lettering. Okay, so for that, I'm going to make sure that we're in the right layer and then tap on the eraser tool. And then I'm going to remove all the parts of this guide that I don't want. First, I want to remove 2 sections from each side. So I'll just erase around that. Okay, so just mark it like that. And then same on the other side. Just personalizing it to fit our requirements. And then we'll use the selection tool and select around this. Swipe down with 3 fingers and cut. Similarly, select around this. Swipe down with 3 fingers, cut. Okay, so that much is gone. Now, I also want only 2 of these horizontal sections, and we'll get rid of these bottom ones. So again, we'll use the eraser to mark off the parts we want to remove, and then use the selection tool. Swipe down with 3 fingers, cut. Alright, so this is the portion of our guide that we want to keep. I would like it to be a bit bigger, so make sure uniform is selected and just increase the size. And then move it back to the center, somewhere around here. So this is our layout. Now all we need to do is select all 3 layers, swipe right to select, and with all the guide layers selected, just reposition it to the center of the canvas and release the selection. So now we have our layout. We can also go back in here. Our guide layers are selected. We'll group them and then rename the group as our layout guides, just to keep things organized. And before proceeding, it's a good idea to also reduce the opacity of these guide layers to about 50%. And then just collapse the group, and then we'll open a new layer to do our sketching. For sketching, I'm picking the other blue color, and from the vintage texture brush pack, I'll pick the pigeon pencil to sketch with. Let's just start sketching by tracing around this banner. So just go over the outer lines exactly as they are. Easy peasy. Cool. Next we want to do the heart. We'll open up a new layer for this, and instead of going over the entire thing manually, we can just do one side of the heart to save time. So go here to the wrench icon, go to the canvas tab, tap edit drawing guide, and tap on symmetry. Now here in the layers panel, make sure you see the word assisted on the layer you're working on. If you don't see it, then just tap on the layer and make sure drawing assist is checked over here, and you should be fine. Cool. So we'll just go ahead and trace the heart. So as you trace on one side, the strokes get replicated on the other side as well. This way our heart will look nice and symmetric, and it'll save us some time and effort. Now there are some extra bits here because the banner isn't exactly symmetric over the heart. So we'll just go back in here, turn off assisted drawing, and just use the eraser to remove these extra bits here. Now for this, we're not going to trace over this shape because in our final illustration, we don't want to include this as a shape. We just want to write our text in this shape, right? So we'll open up a new layer and write "You're my favorite" over here. Here's a helpful tip for placing your letters. Just write down your text somewhere on the side. This also reduces your chance of making a spelling mistake. But mainly, we're going to try and find out how to centralize our text in the layout. So once we've written out the words, we count the characters. So 1, 2, 3. The apostrophe is small enough for us to ignore for now. So 5. Just write that down here. The space we'll count as 1. This is 2. Space again is 1. And favorite is 8. Now if you add them up, we get 17. Okay, so we have a total of 17 characters that we need to fit inside of this rainbow. All right, what is half of 17? It's 8.5. So that means we need 8.5 characters on the left side of this arch and 8.5 characters to go on the right side of this arch to get it nice and balanced. So what's our 8th character? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This Y is the 8th character, and this space here is what will be in the middle of our arch. So this much, your, my will be in the left and favorite will be on the right of our guide. We'll open up a new layer, and what we'll do is we'll start from the center and go outwards because we know exactly what comes in the center now, right? We're just going to do some very simple letters, just basic block letters, nothing fancy. We're going to try and use these lines on our guide to angle the letters along the curve. So this is our center, and we'll leave some space here and start with the F for favorite right here. I want the crossbars to be slightly lower than the central guideline, and just like that, write out the whole word. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means, just go for it. Alright, so now with this side, again, I will start from the center out, leaving some space here again. I'll start with the Y and work backwards through all my letters. Okay. Now we can turn off the guide layers and check. That looks pretty good to me. Next, we're going to write the word prick in this banner. And again, we're going to use a very simple lettering style. We'll write out the word here like we did before. Count the characters. That's 5. And we divide that by 2. So that's 2.5, which means our third character, the I, is what's in the middle. So in a new layer, we start by placing the I right in the middle. I'm using these 2 lines as the guides for my lettering. So just like this. And then we add the remaining letters one by one. And we have our lettering sketch. Now we'll do the cactus on a new layer. Just drawing a nice big bulb right here. And then adding some smaller ones to this side. Keeping it very simple. I think the whole thing can move a tad to this side. And then I'm going to draw a little heart over here, just as a little twist on the cactus flower. And finally, I want our banner to be sort of just hugging our heart. So I'll just extend the ribbon a bit to the back, just like that. And then on this side too. And I'll close this one off like that. So now our sketch is done. You can delete this layer with all the math and then select all the sketch layers, pinch them together to merge them into a single layer, and then I'm going to call this the sketch layer, reducing the opacity of this sketch layer, and then open a new layer to draw our final illustration. Actually, we'll put this here. We'll draw the illustrations here so we can still see the sketch layer. Okay, done. Now, we'll start by illustrating the heart, and I want to do the heart in yellow. I'm going to use this vintage monoline brush from the Vintage Textures pack. And again, to draw the heart, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the drawing guide and turn on drawing assist here. And then I'm going to draw the heart. So just like that, simply tracing over the sketch. Okay, and now we drag the color and drop it in here to fill the heart. Now we can go here and turn off the drawing guide because we don't need it anymore. Next, we'll draw our banner. So we want the banner to be in front of the heart. So we'll open up a new layer directly above it. I'm going with the lighter pink color for the banner and then just trace over the front part of the banner. Now these parts, the parts that are folding over to the back, are behind the front of the banner, obviously, but also behind the heart. So we'll open a new layer and put that underneath the heart layer. And then we'll use the same light pink color and draw these in. Remember to close the shape like that and then drop color. Similarly on this side, draw the visible outlines, close the shape, fill color. Let's do the cactus next. So our cactus is behind the banner but in front of the heart. So a new layer here in between these two layers. And then in the color palette, I'll pick the medium green, the one that's in between. We'll draw each of these sections in a separate layer. Okay, you'll see why very soon. So let's do the big bulb first. You don't need to be following the sketch very precisely. Just use it as a general guide. Okay. Again, close the shape and fill color. Now for the next one, I want each layer to be behind the previous layer. So we'll open a new layer underneath this one and then just go like that. Close the shape, drop color. Similarly, another new layer below that for this bulb. And yet another one below that for this tiny little bulb here. Okay, and then we'll have one last one over here with the pink color for our heart. Great, so the base colors of our illustration are done. Next, we'll do our lettering. We'll start with the text on the top, and just to help us with our lettering, I'm going to turn on the layout guides. I'm just going to open up a new layer above all of these layers. And with the same light pink and the same vintage monoline brush, I'll just trace over the letters that we sketched out. Okay, so there we have that. Next, we'll do the same thing for prick. Okay, we want the prick to be above the banner. So open a new layer here and using white, I'll increase the brush size a bit just because this is bigger text. And then just trace over the letters. Okay, now let's get rid of the sketch layer. And I want to add some more dimension to the prick. So for that, I'm going to swipe left and duplicate this layer. And I want to change the color of the bottom layer. So tap on it, alpha lock, go here, select the darker pink, go back to this layer and do fill layer. I can't see a difference here because it's underneath the white layer, but you can see the color change here. Okay. Now select that layer and just move it slightly. See the color change now? So we want to offset it just ever so slightly so that there's sort of a shadow effect on it to create some dimension. Alright, so next let's add some shading to our cactus. We'll start with the biggest bulb. So tap on it, tap alpha lock, then select the darker green. We'll do some shadows first. And for this, we'll use the dustpan brush within the same brush pack. Now we'll assume that our light source is on this side, on the top left side. So all our shadows will be towards the bottom right side. Okay, so we'll start coloring in some shadows on the bottom right of this bulb. More pressure towards the bottom and lighter pressure as we move up the bulb. Now we'll do the same thing on the next cactus bulb. Don't forget to alpha lock the layer. We can reduce the size of the brush a bit because this is a smaller bulb. And again, just on the lower right side. Now you see why we did each of these in a separate layer. So we move on and do the same thing to add shadows to our last two bulbs as well. So our cactus has some dimension now. Now go back to the top layer, pick the lighter green, and we'll go one step further and add some highlights on the opposite side. So this side closer to our imaginary light source. Exactly like how we added the shadows. And we do the same thing on all of our bulbs. Since the layers are already alpha locked, we don't need to do that step again this time. And then over here on the little heart, we'll do alpha lock, pick the darker pink shade and add a little bit of a shadow on this side. Next, we'll add some shading to the back of our ribbon. So go here to this layer and with the same darker pink, add some shading right about here to distinguish it from the front of the banner. Same thing on the other side as well. Almost there. Next, we'll bring to life our pun. We still don't have anything prickly on the cactus. So above all of the cactus layers, we'll add a new layer where we'll do some thorns. Pick the white color and go back to the vintage monoline brush. Find a good size, roughly around 10 to 12% is good for this canvas size, and just draw. Draw little pokey prickly lines all over the cactus. Follow the general shape of the cactus bulbs and just sprinkle these thorns all over. Okay, so there we have our pricks, which really help bring our pun home, right? And finally, just at the bottom of all our illustration layers, we'll open a new layer and we'll add some dots and circles just to bring in some extra fun. I'm going in with the pink first. Freehand draw a circle, press and hold, and then tap with one finger to get a nice perfect circle. And then fill color. I'm going to actually fill some of them and leave some of them with just the outline, just to create some variation. I'll also do some yellow ones on a separate layer. I'll go back and forth between the pink and yellow layers till I feel like we have enough circles around our illustration. And that's it, we're done. Your cute and punny cactus greeting card is done. So now you can go here, Share tab, export it as PNG, JPEG or PDF. PNG is what I usually do, and then Save Image. I hope this was a fun little project and you learned some new Procreate techniques along the way. If you decide to share your illustrations on Instagram, don't forget to tag both Peggy and me because we'd be thrilled to see your very own version of this project. If you'd like to learn more from me, I have a bunch of classes up on Skillshare that you're welcome to check out and join. So until I see you again with more fun stuff, bye-bye and happy creating!